Kideaters vs. Zoo BoyZ, Chapter 15, Part A. Where in the zoo is Dave? Major, 3 of the zoo boys, Mr. Ralph Willoughby, and Quasi made their way to the entrance. Dave was still nowhere in sight, but the entrance gates and the shoreline were in view. They were finally back where it all started. But where was their strongest friend, Dave? Hightower led them off the paved area. Ralph tried to speak again. The commanding officer just nudged him with her gun. She knew the best way out was the way in. They conversed through a fairly small patch of woods. To get to the fence, they bent back when they entered. Before they reached the outer fence, they heard the familiar sound of squirrel monkeys in the trees above them. Quasi leaped upward toward them, as if she could leap that high. The team tried to keep their focus on the exit. The monkeys were descending closer to them, searching for food, no doubt. One couldn't contain its curiosity and dropped down onto Jeremy's shoulder. Jeremy squirmed and feared it was going to bite him or maybe even eat him. It tugged at his ears a little and stuck its finger up his nose, digging for gold. Ronnie laughed and told Jeremy, "Oh, it's cute." Just then it looked back at Ronnie, put something in its mouth, then leaped under Ronnie's head and did the same thing, checking the boy's ears, then nostrils. Jeremy looked back at Ronnie. He said, "Yeah, real cute. It's digging for boogers." The monkey's eyes met Jeremy's eyes, while quickly pulling his finger from Ronnie's nose and putting it into its mouth. Then it jumped back on Jeremy's shoulders and spoke like a parrot. "Hello, hello, peekaboo." Ronnie said softly, "Did you hear him?" Jeremy replied, "Yeah, he can talk. Hello." Then it jerked forward on up the line to John's head, repeating its disgusting act of searching John's nose. After getting what he came for, he leaped from John to the Major. She grabbed him and tucked him into the backpack. She shook her shoulders, then told the monkey, "No dinner for you, you filthy animal. We'll put you in a net later." The backpack rumbled from the monkey's movement inside. They heard him speaking, "Hello, hello, hello, dark in here. Hello, peekaboo, peekaboo, hello." They chuckled, but they stayed determined to get out of the zoo, making it to the helipad and finally be rescued. As Major held up the bent fence, she kept an eye out and her gun on Ralph. She forced Ralph out last, told John to keep his gun on him, and told Ronnie to take the backpack with him. John said, "Okay, no problem." Ronnie nodded. Jeremy shouted, "Don't forget Quasi." Hightower asked them to call her. They did, and she came right through to them. The Major looked back at the woods. She wanted to go back for Dave. John asked, "Major, are you coming? Major!" She snapped out of it and answered, yeah, I'm coming." She slid under the fence. She still wondered about David. On the other side of the feeble fence that was supposed to separate the zoo from the shore, they stood in a circle like a football huddle. The chaperone pulled out a net out of one of her side pockets of her cargo pants. She told Ronnie, "Cover the backpack with this. Slip an arm in to unzip it. Let the monkey transfer into the net. Then take the backpack back out." I'm sorry, boys. My mind is on Dave. I need to go back for him." She immediately left the boys. crawled back under the fence and into the woods. As she disappeared from their sight, they heard her shout, "John, use the CB to make sure the choppers and ships are coming. They should be here after a while. They're well away." Her voice dissolved away. The boys stood there with Ralph, Quasi, the monkey, the seagulls, and the backpack. The monkey broke the silence. "Hello, hello, hello, peekaboo." They wanted to smile. They wanted to laugh. They felt so abandoned by their true leader not being there. Ron took the action she gave him to contain the monkey. John went about the task she assigned him. "Jer, hold the gun on Ralph while I use the CB. We are almost set free." Ron, mission accomplished, threw the backpack to John. He pulled the CB out and got on that horn. "Zoo Island to shore, main shore. Come in, headquarters. Over." The sound of choppers were already approaching in the distance. They responded to John. "Where's Major Hightower? Over." John hesitated. "Yeah, she is on assignment. Over." They came back. "Clarify. Over." What was John supposed to say? He wasn't sure, but answered assertively anyway. "She's rounding up the last few creatures, talking monkeys and what have you. Over." John thought about how dumb that sounded. What have you? They replied, "Okay, over and out." He was glad the transmission was over and out. They wanted to get over and out of this zoo. From the tree line, Major came running out. She had 2 more monkeys, one on each shoulder, each with a finger in her nose holes. She ran toward the group. Still no Dave. While the chopper approached, then hovered overhead, they heard ship horns sounding in the distance. John asked Major, "Did you see Dave?" She shook her head no, looked down at the ground in shame, then said sadly, "I wasn't even sure where to start looking." Ron suggested, "The elevator restaurant." It was too late to go back in now. She shouted, "The air crew will have to go in and pick up the other crates and cages. They'll find him." She hoped she was right. She peeled the monkeys off her back and flung them into the net with the other one. No big surprise that the air crew wasn't coming down to help. They just lowered a deep and wide bucket. It looked kind of like a bed with sides. It would have been excellent for snow sledding. It was ready for the boys to throw in what little gear they had left, their captives, and them to climb in too. Major motioned for Ronnie, the youngest, to go in first. Then Jeremy. There wasn't much room for the other 4. She threw the monkeys and seagulls in with the 2 younger boys and told John, "We'll send you and Ralph up next. Then I'll get Quasi and myself in on the 3rd drop." John was sheepish, but knew she could take care of herself just fine. He did as she said and rode up with Ralph when the basket came down for the 2nd time. Finally, the rescue gurney was sent down for her. The operator disciplined her. "Get in! Get in now!" The tail gunner watched their backs. The pilot, Captain Michael Kane, kept things steady, but also yelled, "Come on! Come on! What is she waiting for?" On to Part B.